Well, it's being described as one of the most lavish wedding extravaganzas of all time. Amazon boss Jeff Bezos has married Lauren Sanchez in Venice this weekend. A whole red carpet's worth of A-listers jetted in for the festivities, but not everybody is happy about it.
The Amazon tycoon's wedding was never going to be a low-key affair. And Jeff Bezos and his fiancée have made the canals and palazzos of Venice their own. Among the famous faces joining the party, a clutch of Kardashians, including Kylie Jenner, Oprah Winfrey, philanthropist Bill Gates, and former American football star Tom Brady. But protesters have also been out in force. This farmer scaled a flagpole in St. Mark's Square to protest against the dominance of the world's richest 1%. Many locals are also appalled by the extravagance on display.
Never, like Jeff Bezos, has anyone had this hubris, this arrogance to regard all of Venice as his personal property.
They're ruining the planet. It's just a money business. What about our grandchildren? What will they be left with?
There's only one thing that rules the world now: money, money, money.
A Bezos lookalike is proving a big hit with a selfie crowd. Venice clearly has more mixed feelings about the real thing.
Scott Ellis is a senior member of the organization Patriotic Millionaires. It's a group set up by people with at least $1 million in annual income or over $5 million in assets. And they advocate for fairer tax and that the wealthy should pay more to reduce inequality and protect democracy. Welcome to DW. When you look at Jeff Bezos hosting this multi-million-dollar wedding, while there's so many Americans who are struggling right now with housing, with food insecurity, what goes through your mind as a patriotic millionaire?
I think this is just an example that more and more people are paying attention and seeing examples of what extremely wealthy people do with their excessive wealth. There are so many things that our society needs to make things better and fairer for all of us. And those with excessive wealth are choosing to do things like this. More people are noticing, and it's starting to matter.
And it sounds like you also think that the public resentment that it might be fueling is justified.
Absolutely. At the Patriotic Millionaires, we're worried about our democracies and our capitalist economies. We want to preserve them, and we're worried that the biggest threat facing them is this accumulation of excessive wealth. And so we're advocating for raising taxes on the wealthy, raising the minimum wage, and spreading the power to create a better and safer society for us all in the face of this accumulation of massive excessive wealth.
And Bezos is really one of the most recognizable faces. He's reportedly paid zero income tax some years. So when you look at that and you look now at the wedding and also at his lifestyle, you know, what does that tell people about the need for reforming how we tax wealth versus income?
I think it's just such an example of how important this is. And the most important thing for all of us is to pay attention. Because while there are actors like Bezos and many others who are doing things like this, we are the ones who can take action to make the change. We have chosen to accept the tax laws that exist and to support them. We need to change the laws. We need to change the rules of the game to make it fairer for everyone. Because when people get so much wealth, they exploit the political system, other people, and the planet, and they harm all of us. And we all need to work together to create a better, fairer world. We want people to be financially successful. It's very important. But there is such thing as enough. And the way to fix it is by changing the tax code, increasing taxes on the wealthy to create a better world for us all.
And could you maybe just expand a little bit on what you hope to change in the U.S. tax code, and then maybe give people an idea of how that could potentially apply to billionaires like Bezos?
Well, I think really we're looking at a couple of different main focuses. One is to raise taxes on the wealthy. And so there are taxes on wealth itself, on equalizing the taxes that are paid for investment income versus salary income, because right now there's a tremendous advantage for investment income. We should equalize those. And then also looking at making sure we tax inheritance fairly. And then the other thing we're looking at is raising the minimum wage and raising the threshold of the floor where people pay taxes to enable people who make a regular living wage to not have to pay tax and not be taxed into poverty. So it's really those two parts, raising taxes on the wealthy and then increasing the living wages and a fair tax system for working people as well.
I mean, that sounds really appealing probably to most hardworking Americans, but even if you do raise taxes, aren't there always loopholes or chances that these people, have the know-how to hide this money, move it offshore, and avoid those taxes?
Absolutely, which first of all is why we need to actually pass the law, and second is why we need to enforce it. We have speed limits, and people sometimes drive slightly faster than the speed limit, but they don't drive 500 miles an hour. We actually can limit truly egregious and extreme things. We won't catch everyone, but step one is to pass the law, and then, like all others, to enforce it. And even if we don't prevent everyone from breaking the law, we can enforce many and most people to follow the law and, like the rest of us, seek a better life for themselves, but in a way that doesn't hurt all of us.
So you're saying something is better than nothing here. Now, there's also this underlying question to all this, that when you look at someone who has that amount of wealth, of this extreme wealth, that it also translates into extreme political influence. Do you think that Bezos's wealth and others like him actually pose a threat to democracy?
Absolutely. This is our biggest concern. Once people have enough wealth to pursue a better life for themselves, they've got multiple houses, they've got the fancy boats, their kids' college is paid for, etc., they really use their wealth as power. And so the real question for all of us is not how much wealth we're comfortable with people having, but how much power. And we've seen in past elections and very recent elections how individuals have spent hundreds of millions of dollars to influence political elections. Just yesterday, billionaires in New York City were saying they basically want to buy the next mayor. This is happening today. And then Jeff Bezos owns the Washington Post, and other excessively wealthy individuals have done the same thing to buy the media sources, which are so important in any thriving democracy. So yes, we are worried that democracy is at stake. And I think the demonstration in Venice is a good example that people are starting to pay attention. All of us as citizens need to be paying attention and start taking action to regulate this excessive wealth.
Scott Ellis from Patriotic Millionaires. It's been a pleasure speaking with you today.
Thank you so much.
And it's great to welcome back KJ Matthews to DW, an entertainment journalist in Los Angeles. KJ, hi there. Here comes the bride. Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez have said, I do. What can you tell us?
Woo, it's really the wedding of the century, and it reminds me a lot of a Hollywood movie. You've got your A-list celebrities, you've got all your activity, which were the events leading up to the big day, and then you have your villain too. A lot of people, a lot of locals, as you've already reported, are angry at Jeff Bezos and his billion-dollar bank account because they feel like they're taking over Venice. But what I can tell you, what I've seen so far, is that so many things are happening there. Just minutes ago, I noticed that Lauren Sanchez deleted all of the photos on her Instagram, and now she only has 2 sets of photos that show her getting married and some shots behind the scene, and she's changed her name on her avatar there to Lauren Sanchez Bezos. So a new life, she wants to have a new beginning, and I see that happening. But for us here stateside, it really has been just a huge event. All of the local channels, all of the national networks, all of the digital sites have been really covering this event minute by minute. Who's there? What are they wearing? Of course, the Kardashians are there. You've got the singer Usher there. You've got the famous NFL player turned host Tom Brady, Orlando Bloom, Oprah Winfrey, her best friend Gayle King, Diane von Furstenberg. You've got also a singer Jewel, Ivanka Trump, and her husband, Jared Kushner. And I'm told even President Trump was invited but couldn't make it.
Well, I guess he's got a bit going on right now. At this wedding, there were some pretty fierce protests in Venice, people saying this kind of, lavish excess is a symptom of the climate crisis, for example. Venice itself is sinking, it's overrun with tourists. What do people back in the US make of all of this?
Most of the focus has been on the numbers, the money. How many hotels they had. They had 5 hotels. How many, planes, private planes did it take to get them there? I'm told like more than, I think 50, to get everybody there. They're taking up a lot of water taxis. But, I think that Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez's team understand that. And they've asked people, of course, because he's a billionaire, don't buy them gifts. They're going to donate more than $1 million to local charity in honor of all the guests, the 200 guests that showed up to see them. I'm sure they're aware of it. We have seen the protest. Lots of people from Greenpeace unfurling banners and saying, if you've got enough money to buy Venice or to have a wedding in Venice, you have enough money to pay taxes. So yes, there has been a small faction of people that are upset, that feel like they're owning Venice and taking it away from the tourists and the locals. But, the flip side of that, people are saying that, Venice has always been a city for tourists. It's always been overrun with tourists. It's always been a place of love and a place where people come to get married. This is no different, except this man has $1 billion or $234 billion.
KJ, what do you think Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez make of this criticism? How do you think they're going to be dealing with it?
I think they're in their bubble. I see a lot of their pictures already on social media, and I think they're just having the time of their lives, especially Lauren. She's 55 years old, pretty much in the same age bracket as Jeff Bezos. It is their second marriage. They're bringing together a blended family. They've been waiting for this for a while. They've been dating more than 5 years. And I think ultimately she's probably not going to let anything spoil her special day.
Thanks a lot for that, KJ. That was KJ Matthews in Los Angeles.